And so we begin. Let me tell you a couple of things about the future. The first thing you need to know about the future is it will be somewhat familiar to you. It's not as strange and different as you expect it to be. In fact, one of the speeches I give is why America won't be that different in 2056. And I'm about to share some of the basic information with you. Let's begin with an observation. I'd like to tell you a story about a chief executive who came into power almost like a god, expecting to change everything for the better, to bring hope, to create a whole new way for the country to think and understand. 2 years later, the man's in huge trouble with his legislature. Entitlements are an all-time high. We are in debt. The national debt is outstandingly high. I'm sorry, I'm talking about Julius Caesar. So one of the things you're going to find out about the future is we've been there before. We just don't know it. The difference between the average person and the futurist is we know that we've already been to the future. So think about what it is that makes the future. And the answer to that question is change is what makes the future, right? So a logical question would be, how do you understand change? Normally I ask you for answers, we don't have the time, so I'm just going to give you the answers. Most people see change like this. It's kind of a road into the future. I can see what's in front of me clearly, I understand it, I'm comfortable with it. Then as we go a little further, it kind of gets a little fuzzy, and after a while the road just disappears. No landmarks, nothing to look for, nothing to make sense of. That is why we are uncomfortable with the future. We fear what we do not understand. We fear what we cannot see. So we have developed models to look at the future in slightly different ways, those of us who have actually taken the time to go into the future and come back. And so some people look at change as the pendulum effect. Things go this way, and then they come right back again. And then they go this way, and then they come right back again. Problem with that is it doesn't quite work that way. So I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make something as complex as the future simpler, and here is the observation. The future and change is like a wagon wheel. Think of a wagon wheel. It starts at the 12 o'clock position, it makes a full round and comes back to the 12 o'clock position. But something interesting has happened. The wagon has changed. It has moved in time and place. So things go back to new places. That's the key to understanding the future. And why do I believe this is so? Well, aside from the obvious analogy to Julius Caesar, and by the way, we could probably say the same thing about Napoleon, same model, roughly, same thing about Alexander. So one of the things about being a futurist is, gosh, you better really know your history. George Santayana once said, if you do not know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. And that is exactly the case. Because the our history is cycles. Everything exists in cycles. The universe expands, and then one day it'll contract. A seed starts small, grows, gets big, dies, collapses. Energy becomes matter, matter becomes energy. So here's the question. If the universe is governed by the laws of expansion and contraction and cycles, could we possibly be different? The answer obviously is no. I'll give you one quick observation of the future economically. The recession is over and will be over. Guaranteed we will come out of the recession. Here's another guarantee. 5 to 7 years later, we will have another recession. How do I know that? Because in the United States of America, my friends, we have had 47 recessions since 1790. If one of you has a calculator in the room, that means every 5 years there is a recession. And by the way, if you took this last thing that happened, which some in the press called the Great Recession, it would be number 30 on the list. So, as a business owner, if you know in a business, you will come out of this. It's going to end. You will go into a rosy period. You will come out of that. It will end. And then the cycle will go on. So that's how we need to understand the future. The other thing we need to understand the future is the difference between what is inevitable and what is actual change. And one way to understand that is to look at what we call fundamentals. I think one of the important fundamentals for Rotary is understanding the aspirations of people and understanding the loyalty. Is that not? Those are two absolutes in the world. Loyalty and aspiration. Well, obviously not futurists, because you understand that those are words, but the underlying concepts change. Let's start with, for example, aspiration. The original idea of aspiration was best expressed by Robert Browning, the great Scottish poet, who said, "A man's reach should exceed as grasp as what is heaven for." In other words, aspire to more than you can ever achieve, aim high. Is that how we view aspiration today? No, my friends, it is not. We view aspiration as aspiring to the things that I'm pretty darn sure I can achieve. Why upset myself? Besides which, we live in such a rich menu of possibilities. Aspiration is about picking what you want to achieve, which is the same but different. Let's take loyalty. Richer, poorer, sickness, health, forever. Once you have my loyalty, I am yours forever, right? No. Because today, loyalty is transactional in nature. I am loyal to you, so long as it works for me. When it stops being good for me, no hard feelings, adios, goodbye, ciao, ciao. Those fundamentals should tell you something about the way the universe works. All right, let's talk about something else. When you talk about Rotary, when we talk about people, we tend to generalize. We tend to assume, for example, when we talk about Americans, all Americans are the same. It's fundamental. Indians are the same. Poles are the same. You know what? That's not so. And I'm going to give you the benefit of some original information. This is not published anywhere, at least it won't be for another couple of weeks. But this is original research, 35,000 people, and I have discovered that there are 8 different types of people. I'm going to give you the percentages in America. I think for those of you from other countries, you will recognize these types. You might see that in your country the numbers might be a little bit different. But this is why we get confused, because in America there are 8 types of people who you think might join Rotary. They're going to join Rotary for different reasons. The first group, the most likely candidates, are what I call advocates. Thank God only 8% of America is advocates. Advocates are people who, whatever they believe, you must believe, because if you disagree, not only are you wrong, but you are pernicious about it. Advocates insist that their truth is the only truth there is, and if you can't see it, there must be something fundamentally wrong with you. You've known those people. They probably sit next to you at Rotary.